It's good that we're getting a lot of like well-placed Sukuna hype. I think Sukuna getting built up like this after after we see all this stuff and all this process and the attempt to try and get him back on his feet and get him out there is really important for understanding the sheer weight of this character that has really been presented since the start of the series. Now, I really want to. I can't wait to see more of this. This spirit, this creature that one day, one day I would assume that Megumi will end up gaining control over. What is it? Mahoraga, I think is how it's pronounced. Yeah, Mahoraga, and the fact that even in general it was able to do anything to Sukuna is still really big hype level. But the fact that if we have Megumi eventually, potentially being on level with Satoru, that if he ends up, getting this and that puts him, eventually closer to Satoru's level, and Sukuna's able to dominate him like this, it makes me wonder if Satoru actually could hold his own against Sukuna, because Sukuna here he's not at his peak level. This isn't Sukuna back at the level he should be. It's not at the level that, even that we saw on that color page where it looks like some of the seals are gone on his body. And, he's got like the extra two arms. He's got the weird eye kind of like plating. I don't know what even that's supposed to be, the staff and stuff. But obviously he's still eating more of the fingers. Now he's just gonna, have to start losing all these seals on his body. So the question is really, to me at least, is does Satoru actually stand a chance against Sukuna as Sukuna ended up fighting him? And like I don't know, because I imagine like in a group effort, like you have all these other big characters, who would be them aiding him and stuff because they were able to defeat Sukuna before, and I would assume that in that era that where they defeated Sukuna, that they did so with people, the previous person that Satoru mentioned that had the unlimited curse technique and the 6 eyes, as well as the other person who's had the 10 shadows on his level, that they were able to, in a combined might with other people, take down Sukuna, and it wasn't just, one person. Because after this chapter, it makes you wonder, like, how close is it actually, in reality of, like, the gaps between Satoru and Sukuna. I've always assumed that he was telling the truth, and it'd be kind of close, but I always assumed he was telling the truth to an extent. I didn't think it was like, oh yeah, he would just win. I'd be like, okay, they would be a fight for each other, and it would be a big battle, and they'd probably be neck and neck. But now I'm wondering if Satoru is actually as high as he says he is, within range of Sukuna. But Sukuna uses his expansion, and there's an explanation of how his first power works. His slashing abilities, he has the first one, Dismantle, which he uses just on tearing stuff apart, and then he's got Cleave, which like he's saying, it's like I'm wondering if it's like, oh yeah, quick slashes versus like wide range, just large scale blades, or how exactly it is entirely. But there's also an explanation we do get on the difference between his expansion and other people's, any other characters rather. Because when they use their expansion, they're essentially creating a pocket space to which these characters are trapped in. It's like it's a tiny little dimension that they have. And while doing so, like, amongst like the buffs and abilities they get while they have it, one of the dangerous things about it is they're locking them in there. They're preventing them a way to escape. And the difference between Sukuna's and all these other characters is his isn't like that. Instead of trapping them in a pocket dimension, his expansion just manifests like in the normal world around them. But because of the fact that they don't end up having the it doesn't have the same level of extra caveats like, oh, it locks them in, but instead it's like this like cheat binding vow, and because of that, it massive like he's like escaping the binding or the escape route, and it's like a binding vow is formed in which it largely increases the the range, up to 200 meters, and he ends up kind of shrinking it down to like 140 because he doesn't want to end up killing Megumi in the process. I'm still really curious to like the full reason that he wants Megumi's body, like what reason Sukuna, wants to capture him, and I assume take over his body instead of being inside of Yuji. At least I assume. I would guess it would have something to do with the Ten Shadows. Maybe the Ten Shadows user in the previous generation, well, in the much further back generation, was the person who put in the final seal on Sukuna, or maybe he needs the Ten Shadows user in order to undo the seals. I don't know. But he's like just getting his attack all in the open. You do see this really nice panel of just a wide like view of the city, of all these buildings, and then these slashes that go all around it. And these poor people that are just like still confused, trapped in all this. And we've been in this arc for a while. Because I remember when this was starting, it was October last year. Like we've been in this one for like this arc for a good while, and I still really like it. But like it's like these people are like trying to figure out what to do. They're trying not to like use all the power on their phone and stuff. And then unfortunate events happen. Very unfortunate events happen. They're caught within the attacks of Sukuna, and they're just kind of cleaved apart and die. Like it's brutal. I mean, that's what you would expect though from Sukuna. It makes sense. I fully believe that he would be one to do that. I don't think anybody was expecting him to be merciless and not slaughter anybody within his pathway that intentional or not, and care. Like he's gonna do it. It's not gonna bother him. He'll just be like, oh, it's not even notice. But he's just completely just slashing and slashing and slashing, just using attack after attack after attack on Mahoraga, and just dominating him, like getting him before he can adapt, and just an all-around relentless like assault, like this slaughter of him that's preventing him from really healing or getting any of his getting in a good position in order to really fight back. And like that in general, like he's just brutally just like it was just a vicious one-sided domination, like I said. And before he got in the spot where he could kind of like recover, he just gets that like weird fire he has and shoots him. I'm wondering what the exact description of his fire is going to be. Like, is it like a hellfire? Is it like a, some form of weird soul fire or something? Like, he gets that arrow out, that fiery arrow, and just like shoots it directly into Mahoraga's face. It even says open, so it makes me think maybe he's opening some gate to hell or something. And, just launches in him, destroys him, and it's just that like wheel on his back, and just takes that. And the fact, though, is we know that guy's obviously not dead. Like, you can defeat them with their, in a group, but the user doesn't get their, to gain control of them. Like, obviously, Megumi's not going to have control of them at this point. But on top of that, it's, I would assume that, he could try again one day. It would be kind of weird if, there's only one, like, attempt on each of these. Like, that somebody kills them and they're gone forever. Plus, we know that, like, that these creatures can, to a degree, revive. And I don't know. It's still a little bit of a mystery. I assume that at some point he's going to be able to do it. Maybe there's other big deals. Plus, it'd be really weird to kind of emphasize that it's like this one creature that no 10 Shadows user has ever been able to control before or gain control of, and then just kill him off. I don't know what the point of that would really be other than to just kind of hype it up. But it'd be like, well, is it going to be like something for the future? Is it literally just for this one instance, and then next time it'll be a different creature? I don't know. But at that point, like, Sukuna is just, like, walking out, like, doing his thing, and there's, like, this one portion where it's the dude, and, like, what's his name? They mentioned his name, Haruda Shigemoto, and it's, like, he's walking by, and he just sees what's going on, and Sukuna, like, it looks like something happens, and then it's, like, rewound, it looks like it rewound a little bit, and Sukuna is, like, further back. And they explain his ability as his power is, like, it'll just store up, like, this miracles, and then throughout, like, his, experiences that would put him in danger, he can have, like, little miracles that keep him alive. Like, I would imagine, like, if he had the power to do it, it would have been, like, swayed Sukuna into just not thinking he was worth, like, putting any effort towards. But he ended up actually running out of all his power during his fight with Nanami. So, like, while Sukuna's walking by, he just completely slaughters the dude, slices him thin, and he just falls and dies. Like, it's just real brief. But I'm curious to know what the plan is moving forward, because you got some guys and they see, they see Megumi, and then they see what looks to be Sukuna, but then is actually, like, for a moment looked to be Yuji, and I'm wondering if, like, what's he? I really want to know what Yuji's like thinking on the inside. Like, is he like in like a sleep state, or is he like able to view everything that's going on? He just can't control it. You know, I don't know. It's definitely a intriguing thing to see kind of moving forward. I really want to, you know, figure out what you know, where's this arc going now? Is it over? Is it going to like start moving into the next stage? Just because now, like, Sukuna, I would assume is gone. Like, he left. He's back. He's got like his fingers and stuff. Seems that he's got like a degree of control. So I'm wondering like what exactly is the plan for him moving forward. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a mystery right now. You already have the other cursed spirits, like Jogo is dead, Dagon is dead, Hanami's dead. The only one really left up is Mahito, and Mahito still wants to kill Yuji, but like, what is Mahito really gonna do right now with Sukuna up? He's not strong enough to deal with them right now, so I don't really see what he could do. And like, the only thing really left in the arc that like I can think of that hasn't really been kind of addressed more, well, hasn't really been resolved, is the stuff with Satoru being trapped, and then what's going on with the brain invader inside Geto's body, and then obviously, like I said, Mahito. Like, everybody else is like beaten, run ragged, and or dead, I guess. Like, it's definitely like close to a time to close out this arc and really kind of just like get set up for what's to come in the next segment of I almost said Chainsaw Man, of Jujutsu Kaisen. But anyway. Definitely hyped to see what comes after this and to see where exactly the series, you know, is headed. I really want to know what's going to be the deal with Sukuna. Like, they have this guy who now is, you know, seemingly back out in the world, and we know that he's not like a villain that is reasonable. He's not somebody that's going to be like a nice guy to anybody. Like, the cursed spirits are definitely way more brutal and way more merciless than I think most villains generally are. Like, even like, you know, big villains a lot of the time have some degree of like, you know, sense to them that you can try and work with them and maybe try and set up like a plea to like, hey, I can try and do this thing and you know, in exchange for hopefully not killing me. Sukuna's not about that. Like, you piss him off, you even try and put him in a position where he might think you're you might think that you're trying to speak to him on an equal level, and he's gonna kill your ass. So I don't know. I definitely look forward to seeing what's next up on the series and seeing what exactly comes next for exactly Jujutsu Kaisen, and especially with Yuji, because I've mentioned it before. I've always felt like Yuji is actually not the main character, and he's just, you know, the vessel to build the main villain, and the main character is actually Megumi. But I'm not too sure. It's a weird series. Akutami is a strange person. It's not as crazy as Fujimoto, but definitely somebody that, you know, has got a lot of darker schemes and plans set up that they're going to end up unveiling upon the fandom at some point, and upon the series that you're probably going to be, I would imagine, confused and yet interested just to see like how each piece plays out. But anyway, other than that though, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. And I really appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.